Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist, and I'm glad that you could join me for this episode. I'm going to do a little quick housekeeping before we dive into today's topic. This coming Sunday, it will be our Vacation Bible School worship out at Memorial Park. With the potluck to follow. That is at our normal time at 10 a.m. and that is in conjunction with people from both Trinity Lutheran and Yankton UCC as we've joined together for Vacation Bible School once again. And this is an opportunity to gather together and to support the discipleship of our children and to celebrate what God is doing in and through them. So I hope that you can plan to come to that. If the weather is for some reason not great, we will have it here at the church. And so that'll be at 10 a.m. Bring your own lawn chairs and also potluck dish for the potluck after the service. So that is coming up this Sunday, May 31st. This weekend is all Vacation Bible School, and we're really excited. We're hosting it here at the church. This will be Brooklyn's first year at the helm, and she and Pam from Trinity have been working really hard on getting all the things together and prepared for it, and I'm very excited. And so hopefully all the kids are ready to go and excited to be a part of it. So that's the big thing we have this weekend. And then moving forward, I have one more Tuesday lunch study, and then that will be wrapped up, and that will be all of wrapping up all of my small group studies that I have been leading. It is very bittersweet for me to do that. Those are been my favorite things to do. And so wrapping them up is a hard thing, but a good thing. And so that is coming up this next week. And then annual conference in Bismarck, North Dakota, which is what I want to talk about today. And in particular, one of the things that and it was my own oversight, and I'm going to blame that my brain's been in a million different places, but I want to talk a little bit about the opportunities for giving at annual conference. So every year at annual conference, they have a special offering that they take, a miracle offering, and it goes to different places every year. There's different focus or missions that are a part of that. This year, the offering that I'm going to invite you, that if you'd like to give toward, you are welcome to do so. And you can do that either at our worship service in the park, just put it in an envelope and write miracle offering for annual conference. Or if you want to do, one for the church and one for that would be fine. Or you can drop it off at the church, or I'll have Diane, if you are a Vanco user, going through our website and being able to do it that way. We would just need those turned in probably by Wednesday in order to include them in our giving toward annual conference. Half of it is going to be going toward education and training for laity across the Dakotas Conference, equipping everyday disciples for faithful leadership and ministry in our local contexts. I think this is really important. One of the realities that we're facing right now is a shortage in clergy, and a lot of churches that even do have clergy, maybe there's still a lot of work that needs to get done that can't, and so there needs to be everybody stepping up in some way. And so this is going to cover people who are not called into becoming clergy, but still called into leadership in the church in some way. And so investing in training opportunities for lay speakers, for certified lay ministers, for SPR, all kinds of different areas. And so that is a really great way to invest in the United Methodist Church here in the Dakotas Conference. And so I want you to be aware of that. And then the other half is going to be going towards something called From the Wellspring, Faith That Learns, Love That Serves. And I'm actually going to, at the end of this video, put a clip in from Bishop Lynette Planbeck, who sat down with Bishop Bruce O, who was our former bishop, who has been spearheading this initiative. And the basic gist of it, if you want to know right now, it is supporting the Endowment for Theological Education in Africa, the Philippines, and Europe, helping United Methodists outside of the United States access theological education and prepare for pastoral leadership. So again, it's supporting leadership, but so half of it's going to stay in the Dakotas Conference and half of it's going to go um, outside of the United States. That is not the only opportunity we have, though. So if you are interested, and again, you're going to learn more about that second piece at the end of this podcast, but if you want to learn more about those, or if you'd like to give to those two things, again, the best ways to do that are either to bring an envelope to Worship in the Park and label it as Miracle Offering. And then if you want to give toward the church, to have one that is labeled for the church so that we know where to put those, or to drop by the church office, or you can mail it in if you'd like, or use that Banco option as well. So there's a few different ways to do that. Again, that needs to be turned in by Wednesday. I apologize for not being more on top of that. It just honestly wasn't in my mind. I hadn't gotten to annual conference yet, and now I am. So the other really fun thing that they're doing this year, which is kind of cool, is they're going to be partnering with Midwest Mission, and they're going to be doing I just want to pull it up here so I get it right, a service opportunity at annual conference. So on Friday night, there's always one night that's kind of like a fellowship night, but during the Friday night fellowship time, they're gonna be assembling blessing bags for Midwest Mission. It involves assembling these bags to help fight food insecurity. Each bag will feed 6 people and cost $2 each. So you can donate to that as well. And maybe I'll add a link in this video description if you'd like to give directly to that. But I think that's a pretty cool thing as well. Um, and so I wanted you to be aware of that there's a few different ways of doing things. Um, Just as I would also solicit your prayers as we head to annual conference this year. Again, Bismarck is quite a hike, and it'll be me, and I'm bringing my son Ben with me. So this will be his first year of really attending annual conference and getting to see what that's all like. And then we have our delegates from Yankton, and that is Carla Hummel, Craig Sherman, and Bob Thuy. Just a reminder that our delegates are members of the annual conference, in that they do not just represent the Yankton Church, but they come from our church. But they represent laity in the conference. And we've got some legislation on, I just had our pre-conference meeting. There's some legislation around housing and parsonage standards that haven't been updated for about 15 years. And so that's going to be coming before us. A budget that has been reduced again from last year by about, I think they said $165,000. So that's really interesting. They're proposing a new way of structuring kind of our conference shared ministry things. We have links right now, and they're proposing a different way of organizing that, and so that'll be interesting to hear about that and see about that. They're also looking at creating a group for working around healing, because there's a lot of people have experienced a lot of things in the church, and some people have experienced harm, and how do we support those who have? That's definitely never the intent for anybody to experience harm at the helm of the church, but we do know it happens, and so helping people walk through those kind of things. That is among many other things. And so that'll be a really great time. We will be, for worship, the first week of June, there will not be communion. I'm going to push that back to June 14th. And your preacher will still be Bishop Lynette Plambeck. You're gonna be hearing a sermon from her. But we've decided not to live stream the rest of that service. If you would choose, you can go and live stream the service. You can find it on the dakotasumc.org website. It's about a 2-hour service if you want to watch the whole thing. Otherwise, we will be offering church here and just having Bishop's sermon as the center point of that. So you're still getting to hear the bishop's message, but it's going to be otherwise local worship. Last year we tried the streaming thing, and I just think it's too long for anybody to sit and watch a live stream. So we decided to switch that up a little bit this year. Just a reminder again that June 14th will be my final Sunday, and we will be having a farewell potluck. No, they didn't call it farewell. What did they call it? Adios. Adios potluck, following worship that day. Like I mentioned in church, we're going to enter into potluck season with potluck for VBS, potluck for that, and I believe a potluck in July for Pastor Valerie and her family. So I love that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to gather as the church. And all of you are such amazing cooks that getting to do potlucks here is such a blessing. And I'm looking forward to sampling all of it every time. So I'm going to turn it over to the bishops so you can learn more about this incredible initiative around theological education outside of the United States and how our conference is joining with many other conferences to make that work happen. So I hope to see you at the park on Sunday for worship. Until next time, God bless.
Bishop O, thank you so much for joining me here as you are visiting the Dakotas. We are coming to our Dakotas, Minnesota Episcopal area from the basement of the Dakotas Conference Center. You're back in town for the Dakota Wesleyan University Board of Trustees meeting.
Correct.
And so we welcome you home, first of all. And thank you for taking some time to talk with me about Miracle Sunday offering. And so I thought maybe what we could do is talk a bit about what it is, why it is, and your engagement in it. But before we leave our time together, we also want to update on how life with Shar is in retirement, with only minor details. So again, welcome. I'm so delighted to have you here. So we have Miracle Sunday coming toward us, and we're heading toward Miracle Sunday. It's familiar language in the Dakotas when we talk about our miracle offering. In Minnesota, we have the love offering.
Right.
And both of those are holding this special appeal. Can you tell us a bit about the Miracle Sunday offering?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's great to be back home in the Dakotas particularly, but also in the entire Dakotas, Minnesota area. And as usual, your hospitality and the hospitality of the area is wonderful. The Miracle Offering is designed to raise funds for the endowment for theological education outside the United States, or more specifically in the Philippines, Europe, and Africa. I think you're already familiar with some of these statistics, but we have 20 seminaries outside the United States. Most people don't have any idea about that. They only think about the 13 seminaries here in the United States, but there are 20 seminaries outside the United States, but they have very limited funds to use in educating the pastors that we need in Europe, Africa, and the Philippines. So the Miracle Offering is intended to raise funds that would increase that endowment. We need, quite frankly, about $35 million in that endowment in order to have the ability to sustain theological education in these three regions of the world. And the Miracle Offering is designed to infuse that endowment fund. Now, will we raise $35 million? Maybe.
Maybe.
We are never going to limit what God can do through God's wonderful, generous people. But that's not really the point, whether we raise it all right now. It's far more important for people to understand how critical it is for us to be doing this kind of work so that there is sustained theological education happening in these parts of the world.
So do you have a sense of, if you compare theological education in the U.S. and what happens in the conferences outside of the United States, what percentage are we looking at of folks who have theological education?
Within the United States, about 71% of all of the clergy serving in the United States, United Methodist clergy serving in the United States, have a master's degree in theological degree. Outside the United States, in Africa, Philippines, and Europe, it's 5%. And this is not to create any grave concerns, but there are places in Africa where our United Methodist pastors only have an elementary or high school education. But the church is growing so fast, we've not been able to keep up with training our pastors, particularly giving them theological degrees. So the goal ultimately is that with a well-funded endowment fund, we can provide additional funding to these seminaries, scholarships, and other kinds of operating funds that will allow us to educate 500 additional pastors every year forever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So why, we get we're the connectional church, the thing that sets United Methodism or the Wesleyan movement apart from so many other movements is that we are connectional. So why does theological education outside the United States matter to those of us who reside in Dakotas, Minnesota?
Well, I do want to start where you started in terms of being a connectional church, and the reality that if we are going to advance our mission, which we all know is to make disciples of Jesus who are capable of transforming the world, and to live into our new vision statement, to love boldly, serve joyfully, and lead courageously. If we're going to live into those things, we need to do that as a unified church. It can't just be happening in the Dakotas, and Minnesota, which I know is already happening, but it needs to happen everywhere for us to move forward together. I would also say this. I believe we're at a time within the United Methodist Church. We're trying to live into a new expression of United Methodism, right? I mean, we've gone through COVID, we've gone through disaffiliation, we've gone through other challenges, but we are well poised now to live into a new expression of United Methodism. We need to do that as a unified church. And what could be more unifying than having 30,000 congregations all at the same time, relatively same time, taking an offering for a compelling missional cause. We need this. So how does it benefit the Dakotas of Minnesota? Being a part of a compelling missional event that I believe the Holy Spirit is leading.
And it's that relationship. I think we talk about Ubuntu, right? That we are so connected. And I think that this is the really what it means to love one's neighbor. That the things that you're able to achieve in this life only matter if I too am able to achieve.
Exactly. One of the other aspects of this endowment fund, it provides, in addition to scholarships and operational funds for these seminaries, it also provides for funding faculty that are involved in Methodist studies. There are many of the seminaries outside the United States that do not have really solid Methodist faculty. We want to be sure that the education that happens of students outside the United States is solidly Wesleyan, is solidly a part of our United Methodist ethos. And that's part of what will help unify us. It was part of what helped us move forward together.
Yeah, and I think that we want to invite people to consider what already unifies us. Right? We are a Church of Pentecost. We are a multi-language, multicultural, multi-ethnic church. And I think part of that is in the front end, the book that I spend some time with, in addition to the Bible, is the Book of Discipline. So that front end where it has...
I'm not reading that anymore, by the way.
Good for you. I'm reading enough for the two of us. But that front end where it's our articles of religion, our theological identity is there, and that is the part that really unifies us in our Wesleyan sense. What is it that we believe about God? What is it that we believe about economic community, political community? What we believe about humanity? And I think as Wesleyans, as lifelong learners, as we learn and grow out of curiosity and expanding our minds, and then our hearts expand as our minds expand. I just think of the fruit on the other side. And I think it's important for people to know that this isn't, I'm going to use the language colonial. It isn't that the churches in the U.S. are pouring into those outside the U.S. because there's less than here. I think of the richness that is poured back into the church in the U.S.
Yes.
Could you talk a bit about that pouring back in that we, I think, benefit from in the connectional, relational sense from our conferences outside the U.S.?
Yeah. Well, let me be quite specific about that. When I was serving as a resident bishop in West Ohio, we had partnership with the North Katanga Conference in Africa. Mm-hmm. One of the things that developed out of that partnership is they were sending missionaries to us to teach us about evangelism.
Yes.
And we were sending folks there to teach about developing systemic administrative processes. Mm-hmm. So we were good at some things, and they were excellent at other things.
Right.
And we were able to have that kind of exchange. The other thing I've discovered in doing this particular role that I'm in now is how many of our conferences in the United States have pastors who have come from other parts of our connection outside the United States. And to see that kind of free-flowing exchange of persons as well as ideas is part of what is strengthening us. It's part of what makes us unique in all of the expressions of the Christian faith here in the United States. I mean, we truly are a worldwide church.
Yes.
And this will only help us function even more effectively, I think, as a worldwide church. The other thing I would say is I want to dispel any notion that this miracle offering is about raising money in the United States to send to Europe and Africa and the Philippines. Mm-hmm. The reality is every one of those congregations outside the United States are also invited into doing this miracle offering at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that the initial gifts that have come in, the lead gifts, if you will, have been primarily from Africa. Mm. All of the regional directors, I'm functioning as a regional director for this initiative here in the United States, but there are 7 other regional directors in all of the regional conferences in Africa, and 1 in Europe and 1 in the Philippines. They have given the largest gifts to this as a part of the lead. Mm-hmm. This is a time when what I'm seeing, these conferences are saying, we can't rely on money coming from just the United States. We need to step up to the plate. Mm-hmm. This is about the education that we want to see here in our part of the world, so that we are able to produce the kind of fruits that need to be produced, the kingdom fruits that need to be produced here.
Absolutely. So what would be your invitation to the Minnesota and Dakota United Methodists and the Friends of the United Methodist Church in this Episcopal area? What would be your challenge?
Be yourselves. And what I mean by that, be generous. Mm-hmm. I know United Methodists in Minnesota and the Dakotas are some of the most generous people I know. They're also some of the most connectional people I know. Mm-hmm. And I would simply invite you to be generous, to see this as an opportunity to let God work through you for a miraculous outpouring of God's grace and mercy and generosity. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So that sort of is the business side of things, in the very best sense of how we do business in the connectional church. Yeah. And folks here are so connected to you and Shar. Can you give us a bit of update on what does life in retirement, after you've just shared that you're working, but what does life in retirement look like? How is it being retired? How is it being fully able to be husband to Shar, parent, grandparent? What's it all look like? What's bringing you joy?
There are two sort of buckets, if you will, of things that Shar and I have fully embraced in retirement. One is spending time with our grandkids, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to retire when I did. I also had to retire because of mandatory rules, but I was ready to retire because we wanted to spend time with our grandkids, and we've been able to do that.
Nice.
For example, a week after this, Shar and I are going to Spain. Because we have a grandson who is studying in Spain this semester, and so it's a chance to kind of connect with him in a setting where he's now studying. And we follow them all over Wisconsin to their various athletic and school activities and so forth. So that's one bucket. The second bucket is the one I kind of referred to. We are doing a lot of traveling. We're trying to get sort of caught up on all those things. You know, everybody has a list of things you'd like to do or places you'd like to go.
Right.
And you sort of set them aside when you're busy, when you're working. And so now we're trying to catch up on some of that. So we spent 3 weeks last October in Italy with some good friends, and now this trip to Spain. We will be celebrating 50 years of marriage in August, and we're going to take the Canadian rail system all the way across Canada, 3-week trip from Vancouver to Halifax. So we're really enjoying our grandkids. We're enjoying our travel. The other thing that we have found is that it's still important to sort of have our own paths.
Right.
You still need a sort of a measure of separation, I think, in any healthy relationship. And so I've continued to do some volunteer work. This work I'm doing for the Miracle Offering is volunteer work I'm doing for the Council of Bishops. I'm serving on some boards of directors, including the Dakota Wesleyan Board now again, thanks to your graciousness to invite me back to participate in that board. Yeah. And I'm doing a little bit of writing. I'm on the E. Stanley Jones Foundation Board.
Nice.
And that foundation is republishing all of E. Stanley Jones' books, and I just wrote the prologue for his book on the Holy Spirit.
Very nice.
So just enough for Shar to feel like I'm not in her hair all the time.
That's good. That is good.
Yeah, so life is really good. Life is good. In our health, we're both still have really good health, and so it's been a joy.
Well, Bishop O, thank you so much for taking some time this morning to visit with me. You know that you and Shar are so loved in this Episcopal area. It is my great joy to have you back in the lands of God's goodness and grace. So thank you for being here.
And we love this part of the world. We love the folks in Minnesota and the Dakotas, and it was a rich experience to serve as their Episcopal leader. And I now know they're in really good hands. And that brings me real joy. So, thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a video and audio podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Sundays at 10 a.m., either in person or via our live stream, which can be found at our website, www.firstumcyankton.org, or by searching First UMC Yankton on YouTube.